Hello, everybody, this is Purge bringing you guys a replay commentary of Storm Spirit. I have about an hour and 10 minutes to make this before the Battle Cup starts in NA, so I'm going to try to be fast about this. Let's hop into the Dota section real quick. Alright, Storm Spirit is a decent hero right now. His win rate's gone up a pretty decent amount. This is literally one day. I don't know what the difference is here, but yeah, Storm is a little bit back in the meta, and I think it's a couple small reasons. I talked to Blitz about this about a week or two ago, and it basically comes down to a slightly different build that players are now doing. So, Storm Spirit as a hero, in the past very OP around TI5. It's been nerfed a couple times since then, and is kind of in some ways unplayable. The major nerfs to the hero are that when neutral camp spawn, they have creeps and things that have magic resistance naturally and auras, so it's basically harder for Storm Spirit to clear stacks than it was in the past. Those are the big thing that hurt Storm. Also, his ultimate mana cost ended up going up a lot, so you can't like constantly use jump to just become invulnerable faster. So you still have like a really big mana pool, but you can't jump as much if you get ahead in a game, so he's a little bit harder to deal with. With that said, also the mana cost for Static Remnant went up to 100, so he's gotten quite a few nerfs, but lately Static or Overload got buffed a little bit damage-wise, I think by like 10 to 20 damage per level, so that's better. And he got an Ags, which does nothing, and that's about it. Maybe some item changes as well, like Bloodstone changing, although I think Bloodstone got a nerf, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so let's talk about the hero. The hero is very interesting because he's extremely mobile. The way that is because of ball lightning. What it does is it basically makes you magic immune, or makes you immune from damage as you roll somewhere. So there's your speed, 1250 to 2500, and as you're flying through the air, it drains mana per unit of distance that you're traveling. It also costs mana to initiate it, and the mana that it costs to initiate and the mana drain per level or per distance is based on his total mana pool. So that way, as you get stupid amounts of int, you can't just endlessly use ball lightning because you get so much int. It's always based on a percentage of mana pool. The mana regen just depends on how fast you can refill it afterwards. Although it is still good to have a big mana pool, since some of your other skills like Remnant and Overload do actually just cost a static amount. So yeah, basically what you can do with this is you can get around very rapidly. You're extremely mobile. You can initiate from long distances. You can escape long distances. Basically, if you're not being glimpsed back or you're not being chain stunned or silenced, then you can always use ball lightning. Very good skill. Your third skill is the most important, arguably. It's called Overload. Whenever you cast a spell, you get an electrical charge on your hero, which then when you attack somebody on that unit, it creates a radius of 300 AoE nuke that slows movement speed and attack speed for 0.6 seconds. So basically, every time you cast a spell, you want to attack your opponent. That's the basis of the hero. Other spells that you will be casting other than Ball Lightning is Remnant. You cast this and it makes a Remnant that spawns at your location. It's basically like a ghost or whatever. And after 1 second after you cast it, it will explode, doing up to 260 magic damage in an AoE of 260, but it's only triggered in a 235 radius. So basically that's a melee range nuke, essentially. You spawn it, a second later it explodes and does damage. Keep in mind that after you cast it, it also gives you an overload proc. So basically every time you cast Remnant, you actually get 360 AoE magic damage and a slow, which is pretty good. Your other spell is Electric Vortex. You cast this on an enemy hero, usually. It stuns them for 1 second to 2.5 seconds, and during that, it slows you by 50% movement speed for 3 seconds. So in some ways it hurts you more, but the movement speed isn't that big of a deal because Storm has a skill that makes you really good movement speed. So the Vortex isn't a big deal, but it slows your opponent or slows yourself for 30 seconds, but it stuns your opponent from 1 to 2.5 seconds. The cooldown on this is huge at 18 seconds, and that's about it. It also pulls you closer towards where Storm is standing. So basically when you vortex somebody, it usually pulls them close enough for you to do another static remnant and for that to proc on melee range. So that's basically the goal between these two skills, is that vortex pulls them in and then you cast remnant to get bonus damage rather than just getting overload every time. So basically the way to play Storm is you ball lightning to initiate on somebody, you attack them while you're midair, because you can attack while you're midair and proc overload, which slows them. And then as you hit the ground, you press static remnant, and then you attack them again. And then you will press electric vortex, and you will attack them again. And then you will ball lightning in place, which costs a lot of mana, but it does give you another overload proc. And then you attack them again, and ball lightning again, and attack them again. It's very, very important that you attack every single time. If you miss an attack, you miss up to 100 magic damage and a right click. Mostly it's 100 magic damage that's significant. This really adds up over the course of the gank. Because basically, if with average magic resistance, it's kind of like you have a double damage, at least in the early game, because you hit for about 70 or 5 or so. Where 100 magic damage from overload will reduce to 75. So every time that you get an overload proc, not only do you slow them significantly, 80% for 0.6 seconds, but you also get 75 magic damage. It's huge. So Storm is basically a min-max hero. You want to min-max your mana regen, you want to min-max how much damage you get from your skills, and you want to min-max your farming, which gets you the items, which wins you the game. So if you guys want to watch some pro players playing Storm, SVG is maybe not the best example because he historically plays support, but I'm sure he plays a very, very good Storm Spirit as well. But that's basically how the hero works. Your most common skill build is this one. You actually don't get Electric Vortex very early. In the past, you would sometimes, when Blitz first got a little popular as a personality, he would go a 1-3-1 build because it would help him get kills mid. But the extra 2 skill points don't really help that much. It's generally better to max out Remnant as well as Vort Overload because it helps you farm more rapidly, which gets you the items that gives you the mana regen to win the game. So sometimes you will get an early Electric Vortex, but usually you skip it. Always get Remnant level 1 because that's the best way to farm, and you can't Overload proc if you don't have a spell. Then you usually do Overload at 2 and 3, and then you will max out Remnant eventually. You could also argue in some ways that it makes more sense to get an extra level of static Remnant early rather than Overload, but the difference here is that if you're nuking creeps, static Remnant's enough to get a last hit. But what you can do is you can use Remnant to hit the last hit, and then you can hit the enemy hero with the Overload proc, which gives you bonus damage against the hero. So basically you'll alter these levels, these numbers a little bit based on, at least pre-6, like the first 3 levels, based on what your lane is like. If it's a melee hero, you're, I don't know, probably better to do Overload because it's reliable. I would probably always max Overload first. Once you hit 6, you definitely want Overload maxed first because that's the more reliable damage. You're going to get multiple Overload procs because you're going to have an Overload every time you ball lightning. So basically, being conservative with mana is really important with Storm because you can always use it for something, either chasing, casting another spell, slowing somebody, escaping, initiating. Mana is super precious for Storm. So the best Storm players are usually the ones that are most efficient with using their mana correctly and understanding the min-max of the hero. So that's the hero. Most common item right now is Bloodstone. This is probably the reason that Storm is kind of becoming popular again. Another buff to Storm actually is that Bloodstone begins at 12 charges now. In the past, it started at 8. So your goal is basically to rush Bloodstone as fast as possible. And the reason for this is also because of the fact that a lot of neutral creeps have magic resistance. If you get Bloodstone faster, it should offset that. So you should focus on getting Bloodstone rapidly. In the past, Storm Spirits would almost always go Orchid first and try to exert their advantage on the game. But the reality is that with a first Bloodstone, you can usually get your Orchid around this timing, mid-25, mid-20s. This isn't very good against some heroes. Some heroes will have BKB by then and Orchid will be wasted. But the most important thing about Orchid is mostly killing enemy supports and snowballing some advantage. And there's always going to be cases in teamfights where an Orchid is useful. The other cool thing about Bloodstone is it gives you a lot of HP, 475 health, whereas Orchid doesn't give you any survivability there. So Bloodstone against a lot of heroes can be better. So it's just a little bit of a swing here for the build. The other cool thing about the Bloodstone build is you can start with Arcane Boots rather than going for Treads, and this helps accelerate you towards Bloodstone. In this game, SVG built Treads first, but when I spoke to Blitz, he thinks that's a mistake. He thinks his old Arcane build into Bloodstone is better. So you make Arcane Boots, later you disassemble it for the Soul Booster, and then you make Treads after you get Bloodstone, because it's all about getting your mana regen up so that your farm increases so that you get items. Other common items, Bloodstone Orchid is almost always your first 2. You'll get Treads after Bloodstone because you want your attack speed to increase because every attack is important to land. And after that, you buy items depending on the game. Lincoln Sphere is extremely good, usually your 3rd item, because there's almost always going to be a single target disable that counters you, whether it's an Orchid, a Hex, a single target stun, duel, things like that. Very good against Storm. So Lincoln Sphere is usually grabbed. You might also be wondering why not BKB? Well, the reason is this gives you mana regen and it gives you attributes, which means more intelligence. And Lincoln Sphere recently went down in cost. So Lincoln's is almost always the better item over BKB. Sometimes you will need BKB if you're against something like a Disruptor and he glimpses you. While you're balling away, it doesn't matter. You'll still get glimpsed back. Against a Disruptor, sometimes you need BKB. Against some other heroes, sometimes you need BKB. Like against Silencer, maybe you might need a BKB. But generally, it's better to not get BKB because it's an item that doesn't increase your mana regen at all, and it generally doesn't help that much in terms of the fight. Usually Storm's purpose is to go on the backline. In a lot of cases, go on the supports, and if he's initiated on them and doing things like Electric Vortex and Orchid, he isn't going to need BKB to stop them from stunning, because he should be able to disable them and use Ball Lightning to constantly dodge their spells. Because if someone throws Magic Missile, the Venge Nuke at a Storm, and he uses Ball Lightning into the Magic Missile will hit Storm while he's midair, but it's negated because you're invisible while Ball Lightning. So you can dodge spells a lot of the time, you can outplay your opponents, you can get them to turn around, then you can ball to the other side and do it again, kind of just to trick people and do some good behavior like that. So if you can predict what your opponents are going to do, you can do amazing things with Storm. Scythe of Ice, also very, very good late game for obvious reasons. Lots of intelligence, gives you another disable, that's a stun. Essentially, it's a Hex, it's not exactly the same, but you know, it's good against BKB heroes. It beats heroes that Orchid doesn't counter. And occasionally a Bloodthorn, also very, very good. This has a really big win rate, but that's just because when Bloodthorn's purchased, it's already so late in the game that usually you're going to win anyway. So, but Bloodthorn occasionally is a good item to buy. Lowers the cooldown of your Orchid. It gives you a crit every time you attack, and it also is going to remove evasion from your opponents while it's on them. So against heroes like PA, Bloodthorn can sometimes be purchased, but you have to be careful doing this. It's 3,000 extra gold to upgrade your Orchid. It gives you some crit, which is cool, and it lowers your Orchid cooldown, but it's usually not justified unless you really need either the extra physical damage or you need the anti-evasion. But usually those heroes have Orchid or have Manta BKB anyways, so Bloodthorn can be real hit or miss. If your opponents have those survivability items, Bloodthorn is not very good. Magic Wand early game also very good. So here's your good against. Very good against OD because OD is not as mobile as Storm. When you get an Orchid on Storm, you can easily kill OD himself because he can't cast his orbs or his ultimate or his astral. So if you get an Orchid on Storm, you have a big advantage over him. And then if you ball lightning in and he pops BKB, you can usually just escape anyways and he wastes his BKB charge. World Devour does not in any way have a good solution to Storm. He can try to mana burn or remove Storm's int as well, but it usually doesn't matter because Storm's just going to ball lightning often and OD won't be able to just sit there and DPS. Naga Siren's a really easy kill. You can find her, you can ball on top of her while Orchiding her, and then usually kill her before the Orchid ends. So Naga's pretty easy to pressure since she has such a delayed time before she gets Manta. Lifestealer, same case. Like, these advantage numbers are actually ridiculously big. They're all heroes that are pretty weak to somebody jumping on top of them, doing lots of damage and chain nuking. And most of these heroes don't have stuns, which is the other big thing, and that's why Storm is also countered, is usually stuns. Crystal Maiden can frostbite, that literally doesn't matter. Lifestealer, you can Orchid him before he rages and then kill him, and he can't do anything about it. So a lot of these heroes basically don't have good Oracle solutions because Storm is usually going to get an advantage and start preying upon these heroes. So very good against a lot of these guys. Lich doesn't have any stun, so he just dies very easily. Now, if you're wondering why these supports suck, other than that, it's basically the important thing to remember is that to beat Storm, you have to make sure that you have a solution to him. Because Overload always does damage when you attack, the best solution is to not let him attack you. And that means Glimmer Capes, that means sometimes Force Staffs, but that's kind of like a mediocre way to solution because he can usually chase farther with ball lightning, but Force can work. Force, Glimmer, Ghost Scepter are the best three by far. Storm will never buy Diffusal Blade. If he Orchids you, it doesn't matter. You can still use Ghost Scepter because it's an item. Euls can work against Storm, but I don't recommend it. It's very expensive in relation to what it does. It's 2,700 gold, and using yourself just to remove your Orchid is usually going to result in Storm still doing damage to you afterwards. Yes, you could use the Storm Spirit as he initiates, but he's at some point going to get a Linken's, and if you're a support, he's going to get the Linken's probably about the same time as your Euls if it's a normal game. Don't like Euls against Storm Spirit. The best two by far are Glimmer and Ghost, and generally I like Ghost better because unless he hexes you, he's not going to be able to stop you from using it. If you have to use Glimmer first, sometimes eventually he'll have a gem or he'll have a dust. He might still be able to kill you. But generally Glimmer is very, very good for Storm, against Storm as a support, especially because then you can Glimmer your allies if you're not the one that he goes on. So Glimmer is very good. Those are the two best items that counter Storm Spirit. If you guys are playing against Storm, you need those items in your life. Ideally, stuns are good. Other things about Storm, your strength gain is pretty awful, but I don't really notice this because Storm buys so many stat items. Your agility gain's pretty bad, and your int gain's quite good. Your base armor is also very, very high at 5. Your vision range is normal. Your damage is okay. It's not bad. So heroes you're really bad against. Apparently Enchantress is one of them because she really reduces Storm's attack speed, and Storm does not buy attack speed items. He usually just buys int items, and his attack speed is always kind of mediocre. So Enchantress is very, very hard for Storm to kill. Also, Enchantress can roam a lot on Storm before he's 6. Before Storm hits 6, he's a very slow hero. He's 285 movement speed, so very easy to pick him off. Other heroes that you're bad against, Tidehunter, because Kraken Shell will always, always, always remove Orchid, Hex, etc. as soon as he takes 400 damage. Unless you buy like a break type item, like like the Shadowblade upgrade to break his Kraken Shell, that's like the only way that Storm could kill Tide. I'm actually so blown away by these advantage numbers. They are huge in both ways. It's kind of cool to see a hero like that. That's very countered by some heroes, and it's very uncountered by other heroes. But these heroes are very good against them, apparently. Techies kind of surprises me, probably because Techies can almost always suicide, and Mines will oftentimes just kill Storm when he doesn't expect it. That's probably why. Razor's passive means that every time that you cast a single target item or skill on Razor that you will be slowed, which reduces attack speed, which reduces Storm's damage. So every time Storm uses Electric Vortex, he gets slowed for 2 seconds, which breaks his DPS. If you use Orchid, if you use Hex, all of those things means Razor can beat you. Razor can also punish you in lane a lot, just sap your damage kind of a thing. Shadow Shaman has Chain Disables, which means he guarantees lockdown. Although keep in mind this win rate's still pretty bad for that hero. 37% is not very respectable. A lot of these heroes are actually pretty low win rate. Visage is very good because Visage has very high magic resistance right now. And also, if you chain disable the Visage, it doesn't matter if his birds are there, because his birds can then chain stun you and offset up to 3 to 4.5 seconds of disable in opposition. Huskar is very good because he has high magic resistance and can generally kill Storm in a straight up fight. So a lot of these heroes make sense. Pretty cool, actually, to see those numbers be so spread. Last thing to look at is going to be the hero meta statistics. Storm has a 53% win rate at 5k and above, which is actually quite good right now. In the past, Storm was like sub 45 or something in like the days leading after TI5. I think Storm's on the upswing right now. He's not OP, he's not an always hero right now, but he's definitely a sometimes hero that teams should be playing in their games. And then for my Storm Spirit, I have a 48.3% win rate. My Storm is not very good. I'm telling you guys that right now. It's a damn fact. And that is the reality in it. One thing I forgot to mention, I am sponsored by Dota Buff. That's my FTC disclosure. I don't know if you guys have been watching the news lately, but there's a lot of drama about PewDiePie not using FTC disclosure. I watched his video on it. Apparently, he did actually disclose, so it wasn't really his fault. I think I said about 6,000, and then I was casting recently is all. He actually did disclose. Oh, that's way too fast. Maybe I'm 3K. I think I stay in 3K about 4.5. I think it was like 4.5. Let's see what that feels like. I think that's fine. Either way, I'm on player perspective. Alright, so, again, I'm not very good at Storm Spirit, so I'm going to mess up a lot of shit, and luckily that'll let me to tell you why I'm bad at Storm Spirit. I'm also going to accelerate this a bit, because I have about 50 minutes to get started. You might be wondering about my starting item build. I would never start Wand like this unless I was against a Zeus, because he's going to cast a lot of spells. So this lets me get mana and HP every single time that he casts a spell. Unfortunately, I didn't get a Remnant there. If I would have, I probably would have chased because there was a chance I would have gotten a kill. Always grab the Bounty Rune because you're mid, and then your goal is basically a fast bottle. Now, first thing to talk about is basically how Storm gets last hits. First of all, I'm late. This is because I chased the guy, so losing a last hit. But normally what happens is I get a slight block in when I grab a Bounty Rune, and the creep wave should be somewhere on the mid lane. Zeus didn't block either. If I had blocked here, what you do to start a lane is you start attacking the range creep right away. And by doing this, this creep is going to take damage. Let me do this in free camera so you can see a little better. So I would start attacking the range creep, because this creep is going to take all damage from my 4 creeps. And then when they are below Remnant damage, which is 140, once they get below 140, I will do Remnant right in the middle, right here. And then that will explode and hit both and guarantee 2 last hits. Now, this isn't that big of a deal against Zeus because Zeus has very low range and pretty crappy base damage. But you want to do this as Storm because it guarantees 2 last hits. Against heroes that are good at denying, when this does 140 damage, this is pretty worth it. The only time it's a little scary to do this is when the enemy mid hero is ranged and hits you while you approach, basically. But that guarantees you 2 last hits. Your goal of Storm is basically to get as many last hits as possible in the first 5 minutes to guarantee or first 2 minutes really, to guarantee a really fast bottle. And then after the fast bottle, you get boots, and then you get arcane boots, and you just farm a lot. Sometimes you'll gank, but not that much. It's a very low priority compared to your farming. With that in mind, I played like shit this game, and the early laning stage is very bizarre, so keep that in mind. Game is not going to be normal. So every time Zeus is about to cast a chain laning, I probably shouldn't be standing there. This game was a little bit weird. See, basically like this. Move back occasionally as long as it doesn't hurt me a last hit. And then I just need to get as many last hits as possible. I only got 1 out of... Well, I've only missed 1 last hit so far, so this actually isn't bad. But ideally, you get every single last hit. I probably should have Remnanted there. I would have been able to get that last hit, but I thought I was going to be able to get that one. So this is what I was talking about last hit there. Or hit the range creep a bunch, wait a bit, cast Remnant, and then hit the enemy hero. And then I'm getting extra value against the Zeus here. I'm pretty happy to do this trade. I didn't get the Remnant damage, unfortunately, and maybe this isn't worth it because I've lost 2 last hits here, but I probably should have done that while last hitting because I lost minimum 3 last hits because of that, and I traded about equally with the Zeus. Not worth it at all. So I overly traded there. As soon as I missed the Remnant, I had basically wasted my attempt. If I got the Remnant hit off on him, then it would have been worth it, I think, but I did not do that. So my goal right now is to deny if possible, break his clarity if I can. He actually ran back in time. And again, creep damage is a little scary, but it's not the end of the world. I remnanted there to guarantee the last hit and then be able to hit the Zeus, so I think that was worth it, even if I got nailed there a little bit. I just want to try to guarantee that I deny as much as possible. I did miss there though, and I've almost got my bottle, so I'm doing okay. Yeah, it looks like I actually denied his clarity. That was good. Put up last hits. These are pretty fucking pathetic, honestly. Like, my last hits are very, very bad here. I used a wand to try to guarantee 2 last hits, and I got 1 of them. But this is a relatively okay bottle. Usually you should get your bottle before 2 minutes, and that's important, because if I did, I would have my bottle, I could use 3 charges, and then I could walk mid and refill it. But because I got it literally 30 seconds too late, I lose 3 bottle charges. And for every bottle charge being 90 health and 60 mana, that's such a big cost. That's the difference of, like, that's basically like 2.5 tangos and 1 clarity potion that I lost because I didn't get my bottle a little faster. So it's so important when you're playing heroes like Storm that you guarantee that the fast bottle, because the runes are basically everything here. I was getting arrowed at here, and I'm basically trying to do the same thing. Remnant for 2. I messed up that one a little bit, which is a big deal because then I lost my overload charge, which I couldn't use to guarantee another last hit. Still worked out okay though. And now he's just kind of bolting me a lot because he can. Again, this would have been a really good time to have a full bottle, but unfortunately, for obvious reasons, didn't have that possibility. Denying a lot if possible. I didn't think I was gonna get that one actually. As soon as it got low, I figured I'd lost that one. I could have also remnanted here to guarantee that last hit, but I was playing a little bit greedy. I think it would have been worth it because my mana is relatively full. Two last hits there with 1 remnant, pretty good. I'm going to try to harass the Zeus if possible, and then, yeah, try not to use remnant for every last hit. I do it sometimes, but you shouldn't do it always. Doing it always is a mistake. I think I could have maybe justified bringing myself something like a clarity and a salve. Really nice arrow here, and I ended up getting ganked. My camera was in a bad position, which is why I died. If you look at how my camera was based, I was looking over here, kind of. I actually saw them, the CM a little bit earlier there, but very, very dead at that point. That was unfortunate. But that's my fault either way. So I've got 21 last hits at 4 minutes. And I also lost my rune because of that, which is really unfortunate. But as a whole, dying. Not a good thing. If my supports can stack and stuff, it's really good for Storm as well. I made 1 mistake here in that I should have cast a Remnant while in base, because then I would have gotten a free overload. Now I don't have a free overload in base. So whenever you respawn, make sure you do that. I'm also not 6 yet, so things are a little bit iffy. I'm trying to remember if this is the same game that went really wacky early on. I feel like it was, but I can't 100% remember. But I feel like it was. I basically played 2 games in a row. I played relatively bad both times, but my Storm is definitely improving. It's better than it used to be. It used to be just straight up awful. Now it's like bad, but I'm getting like the mechanics of casting spells down a lot better. There's a small chance that he tries to kill me here. Tried to get a double last hit there. I don't know if he was 6 yet. He actually isn't. That was pretty scary though. If he was 6, I would have had to wand. And now my bottle's empty. A bottle coin is really good at this point. If I would have been prepping ahead, realizing that he's nuking me a lot, then it would have been a good time to bring the bottle to myself. And then basically guarantee that I had another set of regen coming before the next rune. I'm basically running out of bottle charges a little bit before it's time to get rune, which is making things dangerous. Because if enemy supports go to the rune, then I have to worry about dying. I am 6 now though, which helps, but still not in the best place. Like, every time that he bolts me, it puts me in such a dangerous position. Although I do know from Blitz that playing against Zeus is really easy, actually, for Storm. At least this was the case in the past. I don't know if that's the case anymore. And I felt like I was going to be able to outplay this guy. And I was able to dodge the Starfall. This was very weird. Oh, I missed. That's what happened. Okay, that makes sense. I actually got really unlucky here. Because I died to the Zeus, and I didn't know why. But the important thing is that you dodge the damage. And I did that. I timed it correctly. So what I did here is I ball lightninged over here to get close to the Mirana, and while I was ball lightning, I attacked. Here comes the attack. Right there. Did you hear it? But it's a miss because I happened to be low ground. I got super unlucky, especially because I used all my mana to do this. If that would have hit, he would have died right there because he doesn't have very much HP. He's very low actually, 103. I would hit for 70 plus 80 magic damage. He dies for sure. 60 magic and then 40 physical. I could kill him. Which is what happens with my next attack, because then I'm basically like, that's weird. Why isn't he dead yet? Why haven't I attacked yet? Why am I waiting? And that's because I attacked while I was ball lightning, and I didn't realize. So what I should have done is probably ran southwest in anticipation of the Zeus coming. I maybe could have lived there with Magic Wand, but yeah, he was 6. I would have died no matter what. I was just a little unlucky. I did outplay the Potom, and maybe that was worth it, but Maybe not as well. It probably accelerates Zeus. That's generally a bad thing for a mid to trade for 1 kill, if I'm not getting more gold. So, brown boots, bottle, magic wand, all good things to have. Again, I missed my bottle timing basically because I went for the bottom kill, which I think was fine. Just, I needed to not miss. It was like a 66% chance that I didn't die in that fight, but I stood around to right click because I missed. And then I anticipated a ward here. I don't remember why, but or maybe he did. I shouldn't take credit for that. It might have been him. And then whenever things get scary, basically whenever the lane's in a place where I can't really go up and remnant, because if I do, he bolts me. So if I move up like this, it's a little scary. It's going to limit my ability to get farm here. I don't know why I didn't right click that creep. That was a huge mistake. I did get that ranged one at least, but like I just spent a little bit of time in the creep wave and I just get wrecked there. It's very unfortunate, but that's playing against Zeus. But you're supposed to kill him as soon as you hit 6 basically, and I did not do that. And I also didn't get as much bottle regen. If I would have had like two more sets of bottles in the laning stage, I just might have been able to kill him. I'm worried about them shifting over here. Oh, I remember this now. So I told Nyx to come up because So I did this pretty well, except a little bit wrong. Let me do this a little bit slower. All right, rune's coming up. So I've got a pretty big mana pool. I got 7 wand charges, which is good. I should have right clicked him here. Okay, I did. Then I'm balling in front because I want to remnant on top of him. Unfortunately, Chachi missed his stun, which is actually a huge mistake because of the, like, if I hadn't slowed him, his stun probably would have hit, but he should have waited to hit after I'd slowed him with overload because that's a pretty reliable stun. Because he missed the stun here, as soon as I ball forward, what ends up happening is he runs out of the range. The remnant didn't end up hitting. So I basically went pretty all in on getting this kill here. And every single time what keeps happening is I wasn't remnanting. And then I was super committed. Going for the storm or for the Zeus at that point was a huge mistake. As soon as I popped my wand, I needed to give up. I basically just did like 5 or 6 overload hits on him without any success in landing a remnant. That's not good enough. You need to do remnant damage. It's really important. Oh, one thing I forgot to tell you guys in the Dota buff section is that while laning actually does damage based on how far you travel before you hit them. So damage is expressed in damage per 100 units of travel. So if I move 1,000 units, that's 10 times 8, that does 80 damage. But if I'm level 16 and I move 1,000 units, that's 160 magic damage. This becomes bigger later. If you're balling really far, like across a third of the map, it ends up doing a stupid amount of damage. Oh yeah, that's right, my Magnus was complaining this game. This is very confusing. So what happened right now was my Magnus was like, Storm, you're such a fucking asshole. And that was the first thing he had said all game. I was very confused. Apparently he wanted me to gank, but I wasn't 100%. It was very bizarre. But I went top to farm because nobody was there. And I felt, and somebody was already mid, I believe. So I just let Chachi stay mid. I went to farm top. And then I basically walked all the way mid. This was ultra inefficient. You shouldn't do this. I would have been better TPing to the tier 2 tower and started jungle. But instead I walked all the way top so that I could farm and get my arcane boots. Which ultimately I did get, but yeah. I just waited to last hit this because I didn't want to miss it. But this is a good time to start jungling. Soul Ring's usually the next item you purchase here, just because you can jungle fast with it. I'm also going to stack camps whenever possible, especially if it's a camp like this. So once you have Arcanes and Soul Ring's basically better as well. It's another really big thing. I probably took more damage here than I needed to, but the important thing is that I killed the camp, basically. I should go back and slow this down a little bit. So I clear the camp, I'm bottling up a little bit. I felt like I could definitely come to this fight even though my HP is really low. So that was basically just stupid because of the fact that I really, first of all, I didn't have that much mana, or that much HP. My mana was fine, my HP was really bad. And also I needed to be there as the RP landed. He basically called for me to go top and I wanted to finish this camp first. If I had basically just stacked that and then prepped to TP, I could have been there during the RP and I could have balled into 3 heroes closely clumped, which means I would have taken ball lightning damage. Then I could have static remnanted 3 heroes and then I could have overloaded 3 heroes. So I would have done like 330 nuke right there and then I could have ball lightninged afterwards to do another 100 magic damage AoE. We probably would have gotten at least a double or triple kill there. So basically I kind of fucked up my whole early game. With that said though, I do have 53 last hits, which is decent. So like I said, I'm a really bad Storm. I'm impulsive sometimes and I waste mana and I go into fights that I really shouldn't. That's the part that I really need to get better at. I use Soul Ring here a little bit wrong. What you're actually supposed to do is every time that you're about to use Soul Ring, you drop your Arcane Boots. And that's because the amount of mana that it gives you is increased if your mana pool is lower. So as it shifts up with Arcane Boots, I basically get a Soul Ring for like probably, I don't know, 180 mana or something like this. I do also want to jungle the Mud Golems, but it's a Mud Golems. I made a mistake here. I should have let Chachi deward this, and I should have stacked that camp. Because at least then it would have been Mud Golems and something else, and then I could have jungled it a little bit better. So you really don't want to do Mud Golems as Storm. They're better now than they used to be, because you can do some nuke, but it's still pretty dangerous. And I maybe wasted mana there, balling away from Crystal Maiden, but I'm kind of scared. The wards that we have are, you know, not there, so. I also missed the Rune Top, which sucks. And again, I would love to jungle here, but he used Veil on me, so this is kind of a hard kill. If he does land the stun on the guy, though, we can definitely go for this kill. Oops, I missed my right click there pretty badly. Yeah. The Magnus is very confusing. I'm just going to go back and tell you guys everything I did wrong there, because it's super important. Because every time you do something wrong, you miss mana. Okay. First off, I balled right here. I think that was a small mistake. What I could have done instead... Let's watch it at slow motion. I'll tell you exactly where I should have done something. Alright, so here's Zeus. We have vision of him. He doesn't have vision of Nyx, probably. Right now, I should have balled probably right here. Based on the creep wave pushing towards me and him running this way, I should go here. I was scared of losing this kill because I saw the opportunity, so I balled behind, but that was a mistake. You want to be behind, but not like super behind. You basically want to be like right where they're standing, but a little bit... You want to ball to where they're running to, basically, or where they're going to run to. So I ball behind him. This is a huge mistake. I should have been here. Luckily, we did have Sentry, and I attacked him here, which gave him some slow. And then I balled again, because we couldn't see. Chachi had landed the stun, which was huge. But then, I missed the right click on Zeus. He did get hit by the overload, it looks like. But it could have been better. This ball was fine, and then the next ball should have been here, probably. Or, I could have balled behind the Crystal Maiden, hit the Zeus, and then remnanted her. So basically, I could have killed CM here, 100%. I'll show you I'll double check and show you the moment. Alright, right here. I know Zeus is going to die in like one right click. He's very low HP. Looks like he's already used his wand as well. What I should have done is, I could have balled over here, right behind the CM, right click the Zeus, he dies with that right click, then I remnant the ground, and then I start going on Crystal Maiden. Instead, by balling here, next to Zeus, I'm now out of position for remnants on CM. So I should have balled here, attacked, remnant, attack, balled, attacked, balled, attacked. Crystal Maiden would have died, but I messed it up. Also, I had a Soul Ring ready, which I didn't use. And this guy also super whiffed his RP. If I would have done my chain slow here like I talked about with CM, he would have landed his RP and we 100% would have gotten a double kill there. So that was a pretty big mistake. And I'm now just using my Arcanes. Another cool thing I could have done is before I went on the Zeus, I could have dropped my Arcanes, Soul Ringed, picked up my Arcanes, and then gone in. And then I would have had probably 200 extra mana right now, which overall would increase my farm speed. So the only reason I'm doing this really slow is because Storm Spirit is one of those heroes that has like infinite skill level possibility. Basically all the Spirit heroes are very similar in that way. They have very interesting mechanic designs, and because of that, they have massive potential. So if you do everything perfectly, you get more value from Storm, and you're more likely to get kills. He's a hero that maximizes damage by you positioning everything perfectly, for you maximizing what you spend your attacks on basically perfectly. So buying some more items here with the Courier. My last hits are still pretty low, but at least I've been in some kills. Point Booster at this point is really important because it increases my HP by a lot and my mana pool. So very good to have here. This guy almost died, and I'm thinking of balling towards him. This is the slowest ball ever. It ended up missing. And another thing I did there, that's a small mechanics thing that you can do. First of all, I misguessed my... Actually, the ball would have been fine if he continued, but he decided to farm. But what I did here is I attacked and then I remnanted. If you do that, you give yourself overload even though the attack's already thrown. So then this attack will do overload damage. I also got slightly lucky that I didn't miss there. He's got 2 points in blur. There was a chance. If I missed, I maybe lose the kill. Because I've got Arcane Boot. I don't have much mana left. I used it all just to get here. So what I did there was I dropped Point Booster to Arcane Boots. It's very similar as the other trick, in that you increase the amount of mana that you get from it. And because I had teammates nearby, I felt comfortable to jungle this. This is maybe a waste to remnant this, but at least I saved the overload for follow-up. I also should have dropped my Arcanes as I bottled, so that I could get more mana pool out of it. I keep messing that up pretty significantly. I was looking to see if there'd be a hero here, but there wasn't. So you're mostly about maximizing mana, that's the important part. when you're playing this hero. I decided to go on this guy because I knew my allies were behind. Very, very easy kill. And even with the one level of Electric Vortex, it's more than enough to get the kill. My team did a great job by being in that position. That was exactly where they needed to be. That way that if fights started, or if there was a hero, I could feel comfortable to dive, and they would be there to back me up instantly. Now, I'm just going to do a short ball here. It means maybe a bit more than a short ball, but get some distance between my opponents and me just because I want to not die. If they frostbite, I'm going to have to use it anyways, and I just didn't want to get caught. I have to worry a decent amount about heroes like Necrolite, for example, just because if I get below half HP or so, he can definitely secure my death. Trying for a stack here, and I think I got this one. I did. This makes it a little bit more useful to do this. I'm very close to Bloodstone now. There's some stuff going on mid, but I haven't been looking. I'm looking now. This doesn't look good. I'm just going to jungle. Slight mistake on the Remnant. Fight's now over. Nobody died. We're good. Could use Arcanes better there, drop an item maybe, but sometimes you're not going to want to do that efficiency-wise. Alright, so I killed that relatively fast. It wasn't bad. Alright, Bloodstone recipe. I'm going to run that up there to finish my Bloodstone. I'm going to take a look mid. This doesn't look good at all. There's literally no reason for me to be here. So I'm just going to go farm. Now, you might be a little unsure about this because my HP is low, but keep in mind that the only spell that's global is the Zeus ult, and I just don't see it killing me. I don't see a hero being here because of the fact that there was just a fight mid. If there was just a fight mid, there's probably not going to be anybody else. I probably should have ball lightning there because I needed that damage to come out a little bit faster. So, Bloodstone's now up. I've got a lot of regen. I'm going to go back and heal because I'm a little low. This is maybe a mistake. I could have walked to the top rune and grabbed bounty. And now we've lost mid. But I've got Bloodstone. That's the important thing. My net worth is pretty high. Despite my 4 deaths, I'm doing alright. So, keep in mind that when I'm going somewhere, I don't really want to ball lightning there either. Most of the time, you're kind of committed to walking. And that's just because if you're walking, it costs 0 mana. These fights just look really iffy. I should go jungle the large camp most likely in the meantime here. I also pick up a dust because there's a pot ult and I don't want to lose a kill just because I don't have a dust. So sometimes buying dust on a hero like Storm's really good just because it gives you vision, obviously. There's the PA. I think I was calling on my team to go on the PA. I said she was going to farm at the neutral camp there, which is really true. My teammate's actually not moving very much. Magnus didn't come over. This is kind of stupid. If I had anybody to back me up here, there's a decent chance of me getting this kill. It was probably the most confusing Necro ulti of 2016. So I can still fight here, but my mana's pretty low. It's a bit iffy. And now that Zeus is in this fight, it just doesn't look good. I seem to remember being upset about this. Now I want them to chase me basically. I'm pretty low, but we can maybe stay. And the fact that Zeus right now is this far past the tower is ridiculous. When he's this far past his tower, and I basically know that he's going to be out of position. Everybody else on his team left. So I balled in, I pulled, I attacked, I remnanted, I attacked, and now we have to deal with this guy, but Omni Slash finishes him off. So basically me and him, this is the high MMR guy on our team. So it's basically like me and him were very high MMR, everybody else was pretty low. But you got to look for those opportunities. Storm has huge potential for initiation. If my team was there when PA was here, we could have like blink RP'd him or something, or skewer RP'd and killed him, most likely, before the rest of the team got there, and then we start a good fight. But because my team wasn't working with me, it's kind of hard, at least right now, because I don't have an Orchid. It's very difficult for me to get solo kills. So next thing I do is continue farming. I've got treads now, so I have good attack speed. Going on the Necro here is a little bit dangerous. I asked him to blink skewer, and he ended up doing it really well. That was really well done by him. Again, attack in between every spell. Super easy kill. I did waste a ball lightning, so I probably lost like 200 mana there with my last ball lightning because I wasn't sure if he was going to die. But I did it just to guarantee because I wasn't sure the Remnant would kill him. And if he lives or through the stun, I think he had a mech. Yeah, he actually did use it, but you know, he could have death pulsed and wand or something. It would have been a lot harder to kill him if I waited. So I just played a little bit safe here. And now I'm queuing up an Orchid. This is maybe the only time it's worth it to use mana to go somewhere is when you're going up a cliff like this. But try to make sure that the distances that you go up cliffs are very, very short. You don't want to commit a huge amount of distance to it. Otherwise, it costs you heavily. I also don't necessarily want them to know that I'm here, so I'm gonna go stand by the trees because I thought somebody might come and TP here. If we had a ward on the map, it would be a little bit easier to track where our opponents are moving. Turns out they're actually Roshan during this time period, which is kind of okay for us considering that I feel like we're a little behind, but we're actually not super behind. I let the tower attack me way too much here. I was really worried about that because if Zeus shows up, like, I have 400 less HP that he can burst me through. Don't know why I used a remnant there, that was worthless. But I missed the last hit as well, it's pretty bad. So, at this point, what we want to do is not necessarily show them that we're here. So I'm basically walking around. I might be too close to creeps here, but we want to stay up here without them knowing that we're still here. So we let Nyx push solo while we push out, and then if anybody TPs to defend top, we can kill them. That's the goal here. And in the meantime, we can jungle. As soon as I saw 3 heroes, I jumped out, basically. Because I thought maybe that would just be one. But there's a lot of heroes there. And then I went back in because he had RP'd, and this was just a huge mistake. Firstly, because he skewered. So I already basically messed up my ability to guarantee a kill, because I wasted so much mana. And then I actually kind of messed up by going on the bottom as well. I think I should have just committed. Oops. Sorry about that. I should have committed to the little group of heroes here. If I went right there, at least I would have gotten more value out of my skills. And I also could have suicided. So that was just kind of a bad fight. I should have ditched as soon as the mag went in by himself. I should have said ditch. Let him die. Because just the fight wasn't going to go well. If there's 3 heroes already there, and there's a Necro with a mech, like, winning fights is very difficult. We need to kill somebody at the start of the fight, ideally. Or we need to get a good RP that's going to ultimately lead in us getting a lot of damage in there. Now, let me explain about CM, because this is a really important thing. This is part of the reason why it's important to jungle, because if you're jungling, your opponents don't know where you are. If I just show up to this lane and start pushing, CM instantly runs. But because I went to the jungle instead of the creep wave, again, look where the creep wave was. Creep wave died here, CM followed it. I could have walked up here, gotten the last hit, but it's a little scary because they were just top, so they could shift. And now I'm in the neutral creep, so I know that I'm getting farmed no matter what. And now I just have to see what CM does here. Looks like she's staying, so I'm going to ball behind her. I should have gone with my original range, most likely. But now I can basically go for a kill. Now the important thing here is that, first of all, I messed up. I should have been right-clicking while I was flying, and I would have done a little bit more damage. I had to use 1 extra ball here because I messed it up. Actually, 2. I actually messed up pretty significantly damage-wise. I lost probably 400 mana there because I'm inefficient at Storm. But if I was a better Storm player, I could have gotten that kill with 400 less mana, which means that I would have had 400 much more mana in this next fight that could potentially happen. So, either way, getting support kills like this is basically Storm's bread and butter. You need to punish those heroes, because if you do, it's going to accelerate you. You're going to get Bloodstone charges, you're going to get kills, you're going to get experience and levels. The levels are great too because of stats, all that good stuff. So, same kind of thing. Building towards Orchid, checking runes sometimes, jungling camps. We are going on the PA here. Canceled my attacks just a little bit. She just had Battle Fury, so she's actually a pretty straightforward kill. She missed a couple attacks here. This is now becoming a little dangerous. I'm kind of just going to get out here. It's pretty dangerous to stay and fight. Yeah, let Magnus die, that's fine. We killed an Aegis and a Crystal Maiden for a Magnus. The fight recap was about even, which is not bad. Damage-wise, I didn't do that amazing, honestly. But I missed a couple hits on the PA because of her evasion. So back to doing what's good about Storm, farming creeps. I basically went to a lane that nobody was in. I'm going to push it out, getting every single last hit. And then I don't really want to push any farther because there's a tower there that's going to start becoming dangerous. Use a couple remnants every creep camp. Don't remnant from each to each. Jaw's messaging me. Finishing replay commentary. Now, part of the problem here is that my team is all farming the same jungle. What I should be doing, actually, is I should be farming this jungle and pushing out top. That's a lot better. The reason that's better is because it's unlikely my opponents are there. There's also a higher chance of me finding a solo hero. But I think what actually happened a lot is my opponents were solo, or 5-man roaming a lot this game, like a stupid amount. And that's not too uncommon for lower MMR games that everybody kind of shows up. We could potentially go in this, but all the heroes are likely there. Very, very likely. Lost our sentry here. Like, there's literally no reason for everybody to be standing around. They're doing the same thing as what we're doing, but we're doing it because they were doing it first. Not our fault, right, guys? But they're not getting farmed very efficiently. That's because they're 5-manning constantly. Look at their last hit values. 75, 74, 70, 41. These are terrible. If Zeus was able to get Bloodstone, for example, or... I mean, Zeus don't do Bloodstone anymore. They go like Aetherland's Veil. But You know, he should be getting more items than this, and he's not. Pretty much. It's a big deal. So again, I should probably be farming in my jungle, but we're kind of grouped up here to go for a push, so I guess we stick around for a bit. I was very close to Orchid. I've got Orchid flying out now. So we can fight. I would like to stay until... Wait, hold the fight until I get Orchid, but if they overextend, it's definitely going to be worth us going on them. This seemed like a pretty obvious fight now. So attack in between each spell. He dies right at the start. That was really close for me. I do get the wand off. I wasn't quite sure where they would be, so I should have hit him first, but the sentry came a little bit later. Luckily it came out though. If it wasn't for that sentry, we wouldn't have won that fight. Really good RP by the Magnus though. That was really well done. So, we get the kill, we're pushing the lane now. Small threat of them going on Jug. Oh, this is a huge mistake. Couldn't believe this guy came forward here. At this point, my stun is actually a really good duration, 2.5 seconds. That's enough to basically cycle through about 3 overloads. So I do 300 magic damage plus 1 static remnant. It's like 560 magic and right clicks. It's really good. And then this guy did something also very confusing. I'm just trying to wait out the blade mail a little bit here. I can probably kill that guy as well. Just attacking twice in between each one. Can maybe go for this. This is a little dangerous. But I end up getting the kill. So now I'm mostly worried about dying to magic damage. So I'm going to... Balling up a cliff like that when you're really low mana is super good. And then I'm going to TP here because it's kind of a low chance that he catches me. He ended up missing. Worst case, I can suicide. But through all those fights, I'm up to 19 Bloodstone charges now, which is really huge. So now I'm basically just farming and saving until I get Lincoln Sphere. So, and I do want to buy that ASAP. Holding the dust again because I don't want that last fight almost going wrong to happen again. The Jug went for Manta Ice Scotty, which is perfect. If you have a Magnus on your team, you don't really need to get a Battle Fury. You can just get stat items, and then his Empower will essentially give you a Battle Fury, and a really valuable one at that. Thinking about moving over here, but there's just so many heroes. It's kind of scary, honestly. Like, taking these kind of fights are just dangerous. So much better if we push out and split push other lanes, and then go for pickoffs, than it is for us to take fights like that just because we see enemy heroes and we're kind of close to them. Those aren't good team fights. Good team fights are taking fights where... I'm definitely getting out here. Lena's very dead. I'm going to ditch her. There's no saving her. Yeah, if you just sit around like that, eventually they're going to land an arrow or they're going to initiate with a Necro ulti or something like that. But if they're 5, then I should just farm. That's what I should be doing. I put a Remnant there because I was a little bit worried about somebody coming to my lane. What did I ball there? Oh yeah, I was worried about them wrapping this way and ganking me, so I just played it really safe. My spider senses were tingling. I don't know if they were validly tingling, but they were tingling. So I'm going to kill that before it stacks up. I just did a shit job. Oh, looks like we're going for Rosh. The Meg was calling for us to go to Rosh. I didn't really like this idea at all. I was like, this is a bad idea. But Omni Slash is good, so it went pretty well. He doesn't have an Orchid or anything, so I was a Yule, so I was able to get... I'm surprised he didn't turn and cast, but maybe he's out of mana. I don't know why you're hearing ball any noises, but that's pretty good. I think we ended up getting Rosh out of it too. Yeah, we did. The 2 hero stun basically with Omni Slash, empowered Omni Slash means that all those guys get pretty shredded, and I got to clean up the Zeus basically. It costs a lot of mana to do that though. If he had like a Ghost Scepter or a Yules, he would have been fine. He just needed to try to nuke me down before I nuked him down, and he needs Yules to remove the Orchid for that to work, and it's a little early for him. He actually has Soul Booster. This is a big mistake from him in my opinion. I think he should have probably Yules or Ghost Scepter instead because he's against a Storm Spirit. Otherwise this kind of thing happens, where I can just kill him very easily. So we got a pretty big Rax out of this. We got a fight near the base. Rosh died as the fight was going on. And then we have really good push heroes, so we take the tower really rapidly. Definitely not time to stay around again. Just let that guy die. We don't need him here, essentially. Linkage is purchased. I should go push lanes out. There's a lot of heroes bottom. I should move into their jungle right now. I ended up going for the rune instead. I think it would have been better if I went from neutral wave, wrap around, go camp, 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 and then push out top. I think would have been better. I also think I should farm this camp on the way there, which is good that I did, because I think this is also very efficient. Because I basically just got myself 110 gold by killing that camp on the way top. Maximum I lose 1 creep wave or something like that. So waiting for my Lincolns to come. Very low chance that they're going to be here because it's on the other side of the map. And now is basically the point where I should be sitting in their jungle. And I should do this way more often. I actually don't know why I'm running all the way back. I should be moving into the jungle right now. See how much time I just wasted? That's like 15 seconds. If you don't plan that stuff out, you're messing up. I'm getting a Shiva's afterwards because they have lots of right click, especially from PA. And once he gets Abyssal, there's a chance that he could just like blink, initiate, and kill me. So now I'm going to sit top. I'm not going to show on the creep wave. I'm going to let Jug push things out if possible. And in the meantime, jungle. I really didn't need a ball laning in there. That creep was dead anyways. That was a huge waste. So we're just looking for easy kills, basically. Prime target for me is Zeus, most likely. And Power's giving me like 80 damage. It's actually really good on Storm, even though it doesn't cleave. The start of the fight is looking a little scary for us. A little scary is an understatement here. This is kind of scary. We didn't have a sentry set up. So I felt like there was a chance we'd just die due to them being near this. So what I did was I jumped forward and dusted just so we could get vision. Now we have a better idea of where they're standing. At least if we only dust 2, it's okay. And I feel like the CM was probably ditched here, and he did end up getting ditched. So decent fight for us. That guy's suicide, which means we can now chase as well. I'm actually a little surprised that everybody backed. I thought that was a pretty clear we're going in moment. I just suicide because I knew that I was way over dead. But I felt like my team did not follow me very well. I felt very ditched in a lot of ways. I thought that we would be able to chase there. As soon as the Jug went past the creep wave, I could have gone in with him. If he would have DPS, then we would have been good. I think he backed because he was afraid about me not going in, possibly. So. Doing a pretty far ball. Did you see how much damage that did? It was really good. Did he end up getting Bloodstone after all? Oh, he did. That was a mistake. He should have done that earlier. If he had Bloodstone at the start of the game, for example, then he would have way more mana than he actually did end up getting. We were able to kill him. Nice pull there. Okay, and that guy just does insanely good damage here. Hitting for like 380, and he had MKB. That's so good. That guy played quite well. So yeah, if I just didn't die so many times in the early game, it would have been so much better. That was hilarious, actually. He was tanking tower because he wanted to die because his Aegis was almost gone, and he died as the Aegis died. And it hit him right after the Aegis had died, so he lost the regen instantly. It was really unfortunate. So him dying basically means that I have to back now, because I don't have that much mana. And again, doing the thing I should have done all game, farming their jungle, sitting next to the creep wave. That way they always have to worry about me being here. Got, what is this? Oh, playmill. Yeah, this is worth it. Killing that guy is almost impossible because I don't have True Strike, but if anyone else shows up, I can definitely kill them. So using ball lightning a little bit haphazardly is fine now as well. This is a little bit greedy, but I saw a bunch of heroes mid, so I felt comfortable wasting mana to do that. And my mana regen now is quite good, 50 per second. I think the Magnus is invis, so I was just hoping that he would stay nearby so we could possibly get a kill on anybody. I think the PA might be up here. Whenever you're walking into a creep wave, it's usually better to not ball laning, just because you get in and out faster. Well, you don't get in and out faster. You get in with more mana, and then you can get out with that mana afterwards. So same kind of thing here. Just going to continue jungling. There's nothing else going on. Again, you get Shivas here if they have a lot of physical damage, and they do. The Necro is definitely still a little bit of a threat, but their skill level of the Necro is not that great. I was very worried about them swinging this way with a ward, so that's why I ball lightning left. Sometimes you have to predict that kind of thing. But as a whole, their players have been extremely 5-man, 2-5-man this game, which is why their GPMs are pretty low as a whole. Net worth-wise, I'm pretty up there with Jug. It definitely could have been above him if I played better, but and farmed more efficiently, but I've been farming a little inefficiently. My map movements have been slightly weak. So did a ball laning after using Shivas, because then the Shivas flies as you're flying. It's very good. Just going to go for the back line here. Worried about Necro ulti here. They ended up cleaning me up. It was my godlike streak, but I ended up dying. So So I gave Zeus a lot of gold, and we actually kind of lost the tower because of this. I think I messed this up relatively bad. I think I should have been a little bit more careful. Everybody's quite low, so really felt like we were going to get that kill, but it makes sense that we didn't. User's done, damn it. It's the best stun I've ever seen. I really don't like the Lena's build as well. If you're playing, this is support Lena by the way, you don't get eggs before you get mobility. You need either a force or a blink. It's super important because otherwise it's too difficult to land your ulti. Also, like eggs Lena's actually pretty shit before you're level 16. You're talking about a 650 pure damage nuke. Like, it's good and it goes through BKB or whatever, but it's one of the worst early ags in the game. If you're 16, it's amazing to have, but pre-16, it's really not very recommended. Oh yeah, what have I been doing? Holy shit. Alright, so it looks like I respawned. I TP'd mid during this, and I wanted to see if I could help out or pick somebody off in the back line. So that's going to be my goal here. I'm pretty darn far away, but about half the map is usually your distance. This is very late. I actually did hit the Necro over here, which is why he was low. But I was too far. That was over half the map. Definitely too far. Back to jungling now. Should have killed the Necro instead. He took the brunt of the damage because he was actually in the direct line. So I don't know. I don't know how much units that was, but it was probably like a stupid amount of damage. We can actually probably look it up in the attack log. I wonder if we can. Let me take a look. This is pretty far back actually, a little bit more. I should just do storm-based ones. Target to Necro. This would have saved me 10 seconds minimum. Alright, I hit him for ball lightning for 906 damage. That's after reduction. And he had 1200 HP, and then I hit him with that. And I hit him with Shiva's. I think, yeah, Shiva's for 167. And I hit him with Overload while I was flying over him. Isn't that ridiculous? I actually hit him twice during that, I think. Oh no, this is the physical damage, this is the Overload, 83 here. So yeah, I did a lot of damage with that guy. Put him down to 143 HP. But instead I went for the Zeus instead, so that was a mistake. Back to jungling now. Watching this game, I actually messed up so bad. There's like a million, like the point of farming their jungle so that you can set up kills in other lanes. I barely did it all this game. This was basically at the start of it. I very rarely farmed their jungle. I could have done this as soon as I had Bloodstone Orchid, basically. And I waited all the way till here to have like 4 items before I really felt comfortable. And this is basically the point. Every time that somebody comes to lane, you just kill them. I didn't even have to Orchid because I know CM has like no items and she's not very survivable. In fact, she did go Yules. Yules is an awful item against Storm. It doesn't work. This should have been like Glimmer Cape or Ghost Scepter. Then if he pops Ghost Scepter as I initiate, he lives. Assuming I haven't stunned him yet. I'm just going to ball out because I got arrowed here. And I'm slightly worried. These camps are all dead already, so it was not worth walking all the way back. But looking on the map now, they're all in their base, so this is pretty straightforward and easy to grab this kill. I'm going to leave the illusion there for Jug, since it's much better on his hero than mine. Storm's actually a pretty bad Rosh hero, just because Rosh has a lot of magic resistance, and your physical is decent, but really not in any way a huge fixture of the hero. Stormsworth actually has a decent amount of AoE, as well as the other reason he's not very good against Rosh. Drop TP, pick up Cheese. Cheese is really good against Storm. Aegis is really good on Storm too, because it full heals you after you respawn. But arguably, I think Jug is easier to just kill. He doesn't have Lincolns, and he's not as mobile, so if he gets out of position, I would prefer to have him have the Aegis. I think that's better. Most important thing is protecting the healing ward here. Basically just looking for an opportunity to go in. Basically just jumped where I thought he would skewer to, and I was correct on that. Lost some vision here. Right, and then we just win the game basically because he had a great double RP. Really good RPs at the end. The guy played real bad early game, but towards the end of the game he played really well, and he was kind of a dick the whole time, but we made up towards the end. That's kind of funny because the guy was just such a little bastard. He wasn't like super ragey, he was just like annoyingly angry, if that makes sense. Does that make sense, guys? So, if you're really rich, you can sell cheese here just to buy items to make your last items look good. But this is the end of the game here. So, I really didn't play this game very well. I have decent storm mechanics in that I always attack between my spells, almost always, but I have to get my laning stage down. That's first 3 creep waves, that gets me a bottle. Got to get that down better. It's basically first 3 to 4 you can usually get a bottle with Bounty Rune. Should be able to get it before 2 minutes. I need to get my farming patterns. I can farm faster than I did. Didn't farm super rapidly. I also need to be more efficient with my early mana usage. In all of the early engagements, I would basically dive too far and expect too much from my mana. And I needed to be willing to just give up and back out. And most of the time I didn't do that. In a couple engagements I didn't, and that would have lost me a game easily against better players or players who transition better. But basically Zeus just didn't get any farm because he didn't go like Bloodstone first. But almost all Zeuses do go this Aether Lens Veil. I think they just get Yules afterwards is what they do, usually. Don't know if I like that against Storm, though. Bloodstone might have been better, just tons of HP. He would have been way harder to kill. And he could have gotten pretty fast. He had a good start. If he just went like Bloodstone into Ghost Scepter, I think he would have won this game for his team. Because with Ghost Scepter, he stops Omni Slash. He stops my Orchid, or he stops my right clicks, basically. And then afterwards, he could have gone like Aether Lens Veil, or Veil Aether Lens, maybe. It's hard to say. They do have a lot of magic damage, though, so the Veil is really value, but I don't know. He messed up. Anyways, that's Storm Spirit. I hope you guys enjoyed. There's much better Storm players than me, but I can sort of play him in pubs against bad players. I can play him against pubs against bad players. I just need to have better early games, and I'd be way better at Storm. But that's basically how you play him. That's how you have to think about the hero, and that's how you have to win games. Get advantage, get solo kills on heroes that are by themselves, and take advantage from that. So thanks for watching, guys. I also had another Storm game that I played recently. It was the game right before this, where I played like shit. We ended up losing that game, but it was very long, and there was a lot more teamfight situations, so you might be interested in watching. So if you want to watch that replay, you can. Just go check out my Dota page, and you can find that match ID. All right, thanks for watching, guys. I will see you later. I should be streaming right now, actually, because I'm about to upload this, and then I will see you guys in a bit. Bye.